All right, this is the fourth part. We're just going to jump straight in. There's going to be a time lapse right after this. I spent maybe about 4 hours on this today, so enjoy. And also real quick before it begins, there's going to be a end of the video where I kind of just walk through and talk about what I've done and what the next steps are. All right, I am going to probably call it here. I'll go over some things that I've done. So I've changed up this area quite a bit from the top down and from the initial rough out, as you can tell. Initial rough out, as usual, wasn't good. So changed it up quite a bit so it feels better. The pacing feels better. The density of the buildings feel better. The flow feels better. The height variation just... overall, it just feels a lot better with an actual first pass of gameplay and layout. There's obviously still tons to do here to make it better, to add some more detail and depth to the gameplay. But for now, this is a decent pass at this section with adding like clear boundaries to the map and just everything else that I've mentioned. Also added in some of the gameplay stuff that Sunset Overdrive has, where it's, I don't know what they're officially called. It's like a grind rail, but it's kind of like we'll just call them grind rails. You can, or a zip line. You can go from point A to point B, however the animation is or whatever the narrative is, doesn't matter. It's still the same concept. From point A to point B, a linear spline or a linear path that allows you to traverse from ground to higher level or from other side to other side. So sort of adding those. You have these launch pads that can get you to those extra heights, because the thing about Sunset Overdrive is like, it's almost, I like to say their design philosophy is like the floor is lava. You don't really want to be on the floor, and if you are, it's not like bad, but they have the rooftops in the higher grounds very accessible. So there's not like a break inside of the layout, like where you cannot access it. So for example, like if you only had a launch pad here and over here and then nothing in between. So you generally speaking, they have it where you can go maybe 1 to 2 seconds and you can get up on top of a rooftop or a higher ground. So that's kind of the theory that I'm going with this, and that's kind of what I'm doing, because that's one of the most important parts of the gameplay of the game, is being able to access those higher levels. So I did that, and again, this is probably it's not even a first pass yet, but it's the pass after a rough out. So there's more depth and details and stuff to this. Again, I could take this further and make it even better. Also, I wanted to add in some new silhouette buildings, because the buildings that I had there are just a little samey, and I wanted to get some uniqueness here. So you have some kind of cylinder building that has an interesting shape, and it helps break up this area as well. Instead of it just being a sea of square, you kind of have think of like this on a macro scale. You have this whole map or this whole district in the circle here, and then you have this POI here. And so think of a district as an array, and then think of as a POI as is a variable within that array. So you have a district, and then you have a POI within a district, and this POI separates itself from the district. It helps compartmentalize the rest of the map, so it just gives some breathing room. So when you look at this, just ignore all this, because all this is still in rough out condition. So I've only really, this is still rough out too, but I've had more of a pass in this section. But just if you look at this from a top down here, in fact, I'll do like a little sketch so it's a little more clear. So if you look at this section here, you have more distinct zones. So like you can tell this is a zone, like zone 1. You could tell this is a zone 2. You could tell this is somewhat of a zone, even though it's not as big, zone 3. And then you could tell this is a zone, zone 4. And this zone 3 helps separate this compartment here. So it just gives some nice breathing room. And this roadway here helps separate all this. So you can tell that this is like the central POI, and that doesn't really need any separation, because the way that I had already designed it from the beginning already works out that way. I also added I'll go ahead and play and kind of run down here so we can see this in game view instead of just bird's eye view. So you can see I can access these rooftops pretty easily, and they're pretty accessible from anywhere. Obviously there's like no cover or anything. I would add a little more height variation within these buildings, and a lot more to do. Like I said, this is just a first rough pass. There's not much depth so far, but definitely if I spend more time on this, it will. I need to fix that height. So if I come down here, you can see that I added a height variation. So if you come from this way into the POI, you kind of at the same level. You're getting a lot more obscure lines of sights now, which is fine. A lot of this stuff is clear out of the way, so you have like a clear shot of the main POI. These are grind rails as well, so you could jump up. Again, helps you get through the map, so you can kind of take those and get through the map. The thing I like to say about Sunset Overdrive, just think of it like TikTok. Like you don't, like within every 6 seconds, even though I would say it's probably in between 3 to 6 seconds, you want some kind of actionable thing that the character can do. So like this right here is pretty dead right here. Like that's pretty slow pace right there. So you would put some kind of like launch pads or some grind rails or something. Again, this is still early on, so there's a lot missing. There's a lot that I would still need to do within this to make it even better. All right, with that, that's going to be the end of this for now. I want to do a brief talk at the end of the video here, just to kind of give you guys an update. And this is more so for the Patreons that pay, the members of my Patreon. So I've been uploading quite frequently and at a very fast pace with these videos. They take quite a bit of time to edit, record, upload, and then also not including the time to actually make this content like in editor. So the timing or the rate of these are going to kind of pull back drastically, and that is simply, and I'm not going to go into too many details, but simply because I have to spend time elsewhere. These are fun to do, they're good to do. Level design is very niche, and monetization wise, like in terms of courses or anything of that nature, it's very low hanging fruit. And I just also want to say too, like I try not to get too technical in these videos because I have data, and there's tons of other things that kind of corroborate this, where the more technical you get, the less engagement you get. And I'm not doing it really for engagement. I'm doing it to grow the channel, grow the Patreon, for obvious reasons. Not because that's the only reason, but because it's kind of needed and kind of where I'm at in today's day and age. I'm still going to do this, and it's still going to happen, but it's just not going to happen at a rate that is what I've been doing the past month. All right, with that, there will be eventually another part. I don't know when. With that being said, if you want to support it, go on over to the Patreon. It'll be linked down below. And until then, I'll see you on the next one.